what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm doing Trooper Challenge. This is one of the last ones in the CTI. I think it's the last one in the CTI module of the Soc 1 level. So this we'll move on to the next ones now. So this one is actually really fun. I really like it because it simulates things that I've done in the real world, and a lot of things I see people not do because it's not the fun, flashy stuff. And so I really like it, and I think that's something that everybody should really kind of pay attention to and look at what they're really trying to present to you, because from the surface level, if you're not experienced in this, what you're really looking at is you're just thinking, okay, this is just informational, let's move on. But the reality is this is a very good way to defend yourself against real attacks. Okay, so you can see here's the attack box. This one you do need the attack box, so let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get into it, guys, hit that sub button. Again, thank you guys so much for hitting the 20K subs. Thank you guys. The Patreon has been going crazy. The Discord's going crazy. You know, we're doing the CTF coming up in the Discord, so make sure you're in the Discord for that. Big prizes for that one, and then we're doing prizes at the end of Cyber Awareness Month as well for people that have participated in the Discord, and we're doing a bunch of stuff. So make sure you guys check that stuff out. The Patreon members get special videos and everything else, as well as one-on-ones and all this other stuff. So check that stuff out. The links are in the description. Let's go ahead and get into it. So they tell us kind of, basically, I think the whole purpose is to figure out who the threat is, but you figure out the threat in about 10 seconds. So I think it's more, once you figure out the threat, then it's actually tracking it, right? So they give you a little bit of synopsis. A multinational technology company has been the target of several cyber attacks in the past few months. The attackers have been successful. Basically, someone's attacking this company, multinational, sensitive intellectual property, causing disruption, all that jazz. Here's the report right here. And they give you the report, and then they give you this local CTI platform, and we'll go ahead and go to that. And then they give you a local MITRE attack framework defend model for the attack itself. And so we'll go to both of these because, and they may not be up yet, but they do have you go to both of them, so that way you can, and then we'll just go ahead and say boom, get logged into them. That way we actually have them. You don't have to use, I will say, you do not have to use this local attack navigator. You don't have to. You can just go to the MITRE attack framework and use that. But I do want to show you guys how to use it, so that's why I'm kind of showing it. So let's go ahead and start the questions. So the first one they ask is, what kind of phishing campaign does the APTX, because they haven't told us who it is yet, use as part of their tactics, techniques, and procedures? Now, one thing is, if this is a real report, if you guys read this, it is very interesting. I do recommend it. And you notice there's a couple of keywords here that you're going to need to pay attention to. It says here they use USB ferry and they target air-gapped networks. The reason that's important is because, one of the only ways to identify one of these is by looking for air-gapped. Okay. Now you can see what they tell you is kind of general information that they've been seeing, right? They see that they're using spear phishing techniques, and then as they go down, they start talking about how they get physical access and use a USB ferry, which is basically a rubber ducky type attack, different things like that. And then they tell you that it's got a USB Trojan, blah, blah, etc. Right? So you can read through it. You're going to need some of it, so make sure you pay attention. But the big one right off the bat is using spear phishing emails. The group was reportedly using spear phishing emails. First thing it asks is, what type of phishing campaign are they using? Spear phishing emails. If you guys don't know what a spear phishing email is, that's the nice thing about the report. You can click on it and learn about it. Spear phishing email, usually they're targeting people, right? They're spear phishing. They're going for the big whales. They're getting, hey, this target, let's really focus on how we can get them to click something, right? It's not a spray and pray type of attack, right? So what is the name of the malware used by APTX? Well, you can follow right here in the report where it's first mentions it. Let's find where it first mentions it. Here we go. Taiwanese and Philippines militaries physically isolated networks through a USB ferry attack, right? So right away, pretty easy. You figure it out real quick, right? What is the malware's STIX ID? Well, this one, you actually have to go to OpenCTI, right? And all we have to do here is type USB fairy, because we know that's the malware. Well, there's the malware, right? So we click it, we check it out. And what did it ask us again? Oh, what's the sticks ID? Okay. So what's the sticks ID? And you can see if you go here, in OpenCTI, a predictable sticks ID is generated based on one or multiple attributes of the entity. Okay, cool. So what's the actual identifier? Here it is. Copy that. Boom. There you go. Right. And then this one, other known sticks IDs for this entity. Perfect. It's just wanting the standard one. So make sure you put the standard one, not the other. Okay. With the use, and some of you may say, okay, well, what's the point of all this, right? Because that's the thing, is I can fly through this and give you guys the answers, and I'm going to give you the answers. But the point of this is, if you're doing a real investigation, even internally on your own systems, or whether you're doing it for a company or whatever, when you start to see these types of things, right? If I was going through and I was like, okay, I was doing an investigation after an attack, right? Or I was doing some sort of after action report. And I was going through and I was like, okay, so it started with a spear phishing email. Cool. And then we saw this malware and we checked the malware and it came back as USB fairy. And then that matches their sticks ID, right? What does that mean? It means I'm probably getting targeted by this APT. That means, why do people, this is the thing I see a lot, is I see a lot of people go, okay, cool, this is the APT that we think it might be associated with, whatever, cool, thanks, right? What they don't realize is the value in that, because what you're doing is you're taking this, and we're going to show you guys, or I'm going to show you guys in a second who this APT is, but you're taking this APT, and actually you can see it on the screen there, Tropic Trooper, but you're taking this and you actually have their entire playbook, right? So if this person's targeting you, if you catch it on the first spear phishing email and you trace it back, because you do very good cyber threat intelligence, and you trace it back to Tropic Trooper, right away you have their entire playbook, because of MITRE, because of OpenCTI, because of these programs where security researchers are doing all this data for you. So what's that mean? Go through all their tactics, techniques, procedures, go through all their indicators of compromise, prepare for all of them, right? And then every step of the way, you're going to be ahead of them, and they're going to be annoyed, and they're going to be frustrated. They're going to eventually move on. So that's the value here. Like even I see it all the time. I see people that will come in and be like, well, I see that they have malware. I check the malware hash, blah, blah. It's associated with so-and-so, but I don't see any other indicators. That's cool. It's probably being reused, right? It might not be an APT, but what else does the APTs that they're reusing their techniques use? Because they're clearly reusing techniques, right? They're probably opportunistic attackers, whatever, and they're reusing other APTs tactics, which is fine, because that means, what are they going to do when the tactic doesn't work? Probably go to the next tactic, right? So you're getting playbooks for people targeting you, even if the APT itself isn't targeting you. So this one, with the use of a USB, what technique did APT X use for initial access? So this one, you actually go here to Attack Navigator, right? See initial access, and you can see the only one highlighted, replication through removable media. It's the only one highlighted in, this is really slow by the way, in initial access. So what is it? Replication through removable media. Now, the other way you can do this is you can actually go through, you can go through here, and if you actually go to MITRE's attack framework, which we can go right here, this should open it, yep, right through here. You can go through here and you can find, you can actually find it's associated with Tropic Trooper. If you search Tropic Trooper in here, you'll find that they use different techniques, but the big key word to find this replication through removable media, if you go through this way, is look for the air-gapped networks, because that's where the classification is under. So that's why I say that. And you may not do that, but that's just the way my mind works. Is like, I find one way to do it, but I want to find multiple ways. So I go through it. I'm just showing you guys the easiest way, or the way that they initially want you to, because that's what they're trying to portray to you. And I'm only assuming that because they specifically asked under initial access, they kind of worded it for you to look at the attack navigator. So that's why I'm using that. But when I actually do CTI or Cyber Threat Intelligence, I will use a navigator if I'm looking at a quick snippet, like I just am curious. But typically I'll just go through the MITRE ATT&CK framework and actually read about each one because I'm trying to dive in a little bit. But you can do that here. This is really useful. And so I do use the navigator quite a bit, but like I said, for initial, just trying to get some information, some intelligence, I'm going to use the attack framework. So if you guys don't know what the difference is, by the way, I guess I never spoke about that. This is the navigator. The navigator is showing a specific, right here, the APT Trooper, their specific attack patterns based on, and then these are all the attack patterns, right? But if you just go to something like MITRE ATT&CK framework, okay, let me just go here. This is the MITRE ATT&CK framework. This is the MITRE ATT&CK navigator is a piece of it, but you can just go to here and say Tropic Trooper, and you can see here's some information about it, and it will start breaking down all the different techniques, and you can see all these different techniques correlate directly with the navigator. So it's really your choice. I just think this is sometimes easier for me to use. But if we go down and we look and find, there's replication through removable media, and you can see infected device, blah, blah, whatever, right? And if you go back and look at the report too, the report states they're going to use the auto run. So what I'm saying is you can correlate all of these, right? You can take this report, find where it's saying, hey, they're using the air gap systems and they're using auto run function. And then you can see here, it says copying an auto run function. So right away, right? So pretty cool. You can correlate them. It may not click for you yet because you haven't done many of these, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just keep these in the back of your mind when you're starting to do investigations or even try and get intelligence. These are really useful if you really break it down. There's a reason MITRE has been around for so long and has been so prevalent in cyber intelligence. So now on OpenCTI, how many attack pattern techniques are associated with ABT? So if we're going back to CTI, and they're asking about how many attack pattern techniques are associated with the APT. Well, we have to click on the APT, right? Tropic Trooper. If you click on it, it will take you to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So actually search it. You search it. Here you go. Tropic Trooper. Go to knowledge, and knowledge will break down pretty simply for you 39 attack pattern techniques. Okay, perfect. 39, there you go. Now it says, what is the name of the tool linked to the APT? So this would be a great example of, let's say I think I'm being targeted by Tropic Trooper. They only have 39 attack patterns. That doesn't sound, or that sounds like a lot, but when you start looking at defense, right, a lot of theirs were like the USB, right? That's an easy one to stop. The other one was like, I didn't look at all of them, but one of them was like USB, one of them was spear phishing emails, all that stuff. You can start monitoring for those things right now without affecting anything on your network. If you think that this is the APT attacking you, right? And you can be prepared when they start attacking you, or when they start doing spear phishing techniques, right? You'll catch it because you can put all of your whales, quote unquote, right? All your C-level executives, put them in a hold queue until you get a remediation in place, and then you verify their emails coming from somebody, right? Look for indicators, right? What emails do they come from? That type of things. And you can really, really get granular with this and have a lot of fun. I say fun. Some people think it's work. I think it's fun. Now you can see there's only one tool associated with them right now. So you go to tool. What is it? It's Bits Admin, which Bits Admin will be associated with a bunch of APTs. So there it is. Now it says load up the navigator. What is the sub technique used by the APT under valid accounts? So we go to the navigator and we're looking for valid accounts. And if I can scroll down, there we go. Okay, so we're looking for valid accounts, which I see it here, but keep in mind there's a a lot of them, but you can see if you click here under valid accounts, you can do that. The one that's red, because you see it says 1 of 4, the one that's red is local accounts. That's the one they're talking about. That's the sub technique, right? So what you can do, you can see this is 0-3, none of them are lit up. If you find one like this one, user execution 1 of 3, click it. There you go. The sub technique is lit up, right? So the sub technique under it. So here, local accounts is the sub technique. Under what tactics does the technique above fall? So the local accounts. Under what tactic does the technique fall? Well, you can see if we go here, valid accounts falls under multiple, right? If you go to local accounts, click on it, right click it, and you can see when you right click it, you can do a lot of different things. Well, we're going to go ahead and view the technique, but if you look, they're asking us what tactics does the technique fall. So I'm going to view technique, but then I'll show you. The tactics are right here, right? Because the technique we're looking at is valid accounts, but specifically local accounts, right? Because that's a sub technique. And then this is the tactics it falls under. And I know you guys can't see them all, but there you go. Defense evasion, persistence, privilege escalation, initial access. Those are the tactics that they can use local accounts on, right? You can use local accounts for defense evasion. Why? Because if I'm using a local account, guess what? It's probably an authorized account, right? It's not uncommon to log into an account. I can use local accounts for persistence. Why? Because now I have access to the account all the time. I can use it for privilege escalation. Why? Because a lot of local accounts are local admin accounts. So there you go. And then initial access, if I have your password, that's my initial access point. There you go, right? So you can use those for those 4 different techniques, or tactics is what they're saying. So those are your 4 answers there. And I don't know if you need them in that specific order, but if you just copy and paste this, it works. What technique is the group known for using under the tactic collection? Oh, what technique is the group known for using under the tactic collection? So what they're saying is, if we go here, come on, there we go. You can see they're talking under the collection tactic. If you go over here, and this one may confuse you guys, but if you've used the navigator, you're probably familiar with it. But if you scroll to the right here, and I know it's slow, right? There's a collection tactic, right? And there's 14 or 17 techniques under it. The only one they're associating here with Trooper is automated collection. So automated collection is the answer. Now, this gives you all the answers, and that's great, but what does this do for you? Well, if you're looking at Trooper or Tropic Trooper, right, and you're tracking them, and let's say they're attacking nation states. I didn't see exactly who they were attacking, but I saw something about Taiwan or whatever. Let's say they were attacking nation states, and you're a nation state, and you're like, I'm close to them. Well, now I know, just based on the little report research that we just did, it took us 20 minutes to do the research, right? I know, look out for spear phishing emails. Don't let them have physical access, and block any signatures that USB Fairy has, right? They use replication through removable media, USB. So if I block USBs, I can stop this, right? At least this part of it. Then I know they only have 39 attack patterns that I can start blocking or alerting on right now. They use bits admin, right? But that's a LOL, right? Living off the land. They use local accounts. Let's make sure all of our local accounts passwords are strong, secure, not reused, that type of thing. And then I know that they're using automated collection, so let's look for automated things in our environment, right, that are collecting data or sending it out to somewhere. These things may seem individually like just kind of useful, but they can be very targeted, because you can take each piece of it and find the indicators of each piece. And when that happens, it will allow you to say, hey, I think this is who's targeting me, and I know their next step. So you can stop an attack early if you really pay attention to cyber threat intelligence, or you can just stop an attack from happening for people that target your industry. So hopefully this helps you guys. I know that it's kind of a easy box, but I I don't want people to underestimate the value of cyber threat intelligence, and I see it a lot. And I want to make sure that I kind of get that point across, emphasize it, and make sure you guys, from a SOC analyst perspective, really understand it, because it's very, 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 very valuable. So hopefully this helps you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.